Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel, possibly for the last time. Today, as you can see by the title and thumbnail, we will be discussing what if Naruto befriended Kurama earlier, part 4. For a quick recap, we last ended episode 3 off at part 1. We talked about this time skip a bit, but not fully, so we'll finish it after the intro.
Right now on the come up, lately been talking my shit because I know I come from the gutter since I'm such a brother. Then I go pop out in all of this linen like I was a baller. How can you hate me? I'm coming from under.
Welcome back. So we continue the time skip of Naruto and Naruto Shippuden. It's a normal day for the tree training, which is Naruto, Sasuke, and Jiraiya. Jiraiya would tell the other two to listen up. The two students of Jiraiya turn to him as Jiraiya begins speaking. Jiraiya tells the two that after some consideration and now that they are more powerful than ever, they will travel to Mount Miyaboku to learn Sage Mode. Now Daniki might be wondering, why does Jiraiya do this so early? Well, it's mostly so that Sasuke can slightly catch up to Naruto. But if he were to do that, Naruto would also likely want to join in, so he takes them both. After a month or so of traveling, Naruto, Jiraiya, and Sasuke find Mount Miyaboku. Jiraiya begins to show them around the place, meeting all the Toad residents as well. Naruto and Sasuke both settle into their selective place to train. Fukasaku approaches Sasuke and asks why he seeks power. Sasuke in response says he wants to protect his friends and take down his brother. Fukasaku would nod as he begins to help Sasuke learn Sage Mode. He's getting settled into the place. When we change perspective to Naruto, he's also getting settled in when suddenly Kurama pipes up in his mind. Kurama explains Sage Mode to Naruto that he has to collect nature energy and melt that with his own chakra. Now, wouldn't Kurama deny that Naruto should learn Sage Mode? Well, no, he himself goes past his pride and says that it could be very useful to him if he learns Senjutsu, which is of course very useful. Kurama teaches Naruto the steps of how to get Sage Mode. We change perspective yet again to Jiraiya. Jiraiya would go to speak to the Grand Toad as he asks if his prophecy has begun or not. The Grand Toad is unsure, but she says that she feels that it's either already begun or extremely close to beginning. Jiraiya would nod and ask her, how did I learn Sage Mode? The Grand Toad is taken aback by the sudden request. Jiraiya would then explain his reasoning. Right now I have two students under my care. One who's the Jinchuriki of the Nine-Tailed Bijou, and the one a prodigy of the Uchiha clan. And he wants to stay ahead of the two of them in terms of power, not knowing that Naruto has surpassed him long ago. The Toad Sage would nod, saying, well enough. I shall personally, as well as some other Toads, help you master Sage Mode. The three of them would begin training on Sage Mode. Naruto masters Sage Mode very fast. Sasuke takes a while longer than Naruto, but masters it as well. Finally, Jiraiya would also master Sage Mode. He would actually be the first to do so from the three of them, due to being helped by multiple Toads at once. Then they would, for the remaining of the time skips, all three spar as hard as they possibly could. Naruto even combined Sage Modes to his Kurama Chakra Mode. Now having mastered the power Kurama gives him, this leads us to the beginning of Naruto Shippuden. Naruto, Jiraiya, and Sasuke would enter the village after being gone for the same amount of time as in canon. Sakura goes to see them. Naruto sees Sakura coming over to them as he waves at her. Sakura immediately looks at Sasuke, with Sasuke looking off to the side. Naruto doesn't mind it. After all, he isn't in love with Sakura in this timeline, but instead he's in love with Hinata, who's actually at a mission at this time. So sorry for all the Sakura and Naruto shippers out there. Naruto begins to walk around the village, thinking about memories he had growing up. As Jiraiya picks him up to go to the Hokage Tower, the following events of Tsunade and meeting the others would commence. Then Tsunade would talk to them about what they would do, as she says that they will do another bout test with a few people. The door cracks open as Temari and Shikamaru come out of the door. No, that can't be right. And it isn't. Kakashi, Guy, and Zabuza then come from the window, each holding a bell in their hand. Naruto would look at Zabuza, seeing that he finally got released from quarantine. They talk for a bit as they travel to the third training grounds. Naruto talks to Sasuke and Sakura on the way there to make a strategy. They make a strategy as the bell test would commence. Kakashi reveals his Sharingan and closes his book. Sasuke and Naruto bumps fists as Naruto and Sasuke go Sage Mode. Sasuke would look at Kakashi with the Mangekyou Sharingan and Sage Mode activated. Naruto looks at Guy with his Kurama Chakra Mode activating, as he bumps fists with Sakura, giving her a little of Kurama's chakra, as she goes into a tailless one form. They begin the fight with Sasuke and Kakashi clashing kunais. Naruto jumps behind Guy's back as they begin clashing blows with their fists. Sakura jumps right in front of Zabuza as their fight would commence. Naruto jumps out of the way from Guy, switching opponents with Sasuke. Sasuke unleashes his Fireball Jutsu on Guy, but Guy transforms into the second form of the Eight Tails, the Gate of Healing. He dodges it quickly by jumping over it, but Sasuke uses his Mangekyou ability to control the fire to go up. Guy gets hit as Kakashi looks on in astonishment. Back to Naruto's fights with Kakashi. Naruto is fighting with a kunai in hand, throwing shurikens and other kunais at Kakashi, but they seemingly have no effect. Naruto then screams out Wind Style, or Sen Shuriken, which Naruto learned after progressing his Wind Chakra nature, Rasengan and Sage Mode. An explosion takes place, with silence for a moment. Then suddenly Guy jumps out of the smoke, holding Kakashi and putting him down to safety. And suddenly a chi-like sound begins to pierce through Guy's ears, as he turns around with Sasuke jumping at him with his Chidori in hand. When suddenly Zabuza kicks Sasuke out of the way, Kakashi, Zabuza, and Guy are now in a circle completely surrounded by Naruto, Sasuke, and Sakura. Naruto and Sasuke scream out, Collaboration Jutsu, Fire Tower Sen Shuriken, as Sasuke casts his Fireball Jutsu, and Naruto throwing his Sen Shuriken through it, as they merge together, making the Fire Sen Shuriken, ending the bell test, as the two gather their bells, and Sakura also gathers hers. We are now at the end of the bell test. They would go over to Tsunade and report mission complete. They had won the battle. Now we change perspective to the Sand Village, or otherwise known as Sunugakure. The 5th Kazekage is standing on top of its rooftop, when suddenly in his head, a weird-sounding monster begins to speak. This is the one-tailed Shukaku. Gaara would have a conversation with Shukaku about how to strengthen himself in the village. But why is Shukaku talking with Gaara, you might ask? Well, it's due to Shukaku seeing his greatest rival Kurama bonding with his Jinchuriki and becoming incredibly powerful. So he does the same with Gaara, which Gaara found cool since he now has two true friends. We switch perspective to the great desert surrounding Sunugakure. We see as two people with a red cloud-like uniform going through the desert. After a little more traveling, the two arrive at Sunugakure. The Anbu who are stationed at the edge of the village go to look at the two men approaching their village. Soon enough, all of the Anbu surround them, seeing their Akatsuki cloaks. They all swiftly get taken care of, and soon enough, Kankuro gets sent to protect the village along with Gaara. Gaara looks at the two, and they describe the description of the Akatsuki, the organization that wishes to steal all tailed beasts. Gaara won't allow this, since Shukaku is now his friend. Gaara goes into a tailed beast mode to fight the two. Gaara says for Shukaku to take over as the fight begins. Meanwhile, Kankuro would go ask for support from the Leaf Village, which they quickly reply, with Team 7 getting deployed. We switch perspective to Naruto speaking to Hinata, when suddenly he hears Sasuke and Sakura screaming his name, as they both say in unison that there's a new mission. Naruto asks what it is as they respond, protect the 5th Kazekage from the Akatsuki. Naruto's eyes widen as he transforms into his Kurama Chakra mode immediately, as he prepares some kunai with weird-looking seals. Hinata says that she'll come too. Naruto gives her 2 of the kunai for safety, and says if things get out of hand, throw these kunai to get to safety. All of them begin to hurry to the Sand Village at top speed, arriving way sooner than in canon. Naruto looks at Sasuke as he gives him one of the kunai, which is revealed to be the Flying Rasen seal on it, which, as I said in part 1, Naruto learned an extra jutsu due to Kurama's help, which is now revealed to be the Flying Rasen. Naruto and Sasuke throw the kunai at Sasori and Deidara, who are both fighting Gaara. Naruto fights Sasori and Sasuke fights Deidara. They continue to fight as we switch perspective to the Akatsuki hideout, as the Akatsuki leader sends out 2 more of his members, who are Itachi and Kisame, but they would take a while to get there. Naruto continues to fight with Sasori, and it's clearly one-sided for Naruto, but Sasori goes full out, and it's still one-sided. Sasuke screams for Deidara to help him out against Naruto, but Deidara is having a blast fighting with Sasuke as he starts speaking about Sasuke's Sharingan. Sasuke screams at him to shut up as Sasuke quickly draws a kunai, which he engulfs in lightning, as he throws it at Deidara, which cuts his cheek. Hinata and Sakura then arrive with Hinata helping Naruto and Sakura helping out Sasuke. After a while of fighting, Naruto finishes off Sasori, then Naruto and Hinata join to help Sasuke and Sakura. Deidara sees that he can't win and tries to run, but then Sasuke sees the arrival of his brother and his teammate Kisame. Sasuke immediately begins to go mad, and by pure rage activates his Susanoo for the first time. Itachi quickly jumps over him, throwing him to the ground, but then the exhaustion of Sasuke begins to take place, as his Sharingan deactivates. Itachi then puts him under a Genjutsu. Itachi, seeing how powerful Sasuke had become, thinks that it's time for him to know the truth. Itachi speaks to Sasuke in the Genjutsu, explaining everything that happened, and even showing some stuff with Danzo. Sasuke receiving all this information at once, he thinks that it's all lies. After all, why would Itachi then put him through all this suffering? Itachi explains his reasoning for Sasuke to get stronger, as it all begins to add up to him and he ends up believing him. Itachi puts out the genjutsu as Sasuke stands up, grabbing Itachi's hands. Kisame's eyes widen as he says, "So you two finally made up, huh? I guess that this means this is the end of our partnership." It sure is a shame that we have to cut it so short, but I'll promise you, I'll give you a quick death. Kisame begins to fight Itachi, but Kisame doesn't stand a chance. Itachi knocks him out and throws him on the ground. Naruto looks at Itachi and Sasuke in a bit of a shock. Sasuke says that it will explain later, but first they have to protect Gaara. Deidara quickly tries to escape, which they let him do. Team 7 as well as Hinata and Itachi heads to Konoha, but Itachi has to stop quite far away from the village as to not be detected. Sasuke and Naruto explain what happened on the missions to Tsunade and talk about Itachi. Tsunade asks the village elders later if it was true and they would say yes. Itachi was a double agent for Konoha. Tsunade speaks with Sasuke at the end of the day, saying that Itachi could come into the village, which Itachi does, settling into the same house as Sasuke, and Itachi would begin training Sasuke, teaching him more of the Susanoo and Mangekyo's abilities. But also mentions the downsides to the Mangekyo, which is of course getting more blinds the more you use it. But Itachi knows a possible way to solve this. Itachi and Sasuke would probably begin scheming together with Naruto about what to do with Danzo. In canon, Naruto might not have done something like this. This is a way different version of Naruto. This version is not stupid, and main motives are peace and prosperity for the world and its Jinchurikis, but we have yet to meet any others besides Gaara. After a few weeks of scheming a plan to take down Danzo, they approached Tsunade, who at the time was completing impossible cure for Itachi disease. They explained their plan and reasoning for said plan to Tsunade. Tsunade, understanding the situation and the big threat Danzo and his team poses to the current peace in the village, would begin enlisting for some powerful shinobi to keep an eye on Danzo. People like Gai, Kakashi, and Asuma. He doesn't send in Itachi just yet, since Danzo doesn't even know he's back in the village. The second he hears that Itachi is back in Konoha, he will start preparing his team to try to take him out. After some extremely careful spying, Tsunade herself concludes that everything Sasuke and Itachi and Naruto said is 100% true. Tsunade herself begins to prepare for an upcoming fight with Danzo and his subordinates, something that has seriously taken her interest as something Kakashi saw once. Just a couple round red glows from Danzo's arm. Now one thing on my mind was, while riding this, was Sasuke and Itachi's Mangekyo Sharingan. Would it be possible for them to gain an internal Mangekyo Sharingan? While it is extremely debatable, I do not think that their parent Sharingan could have remained, not taken by Danzo. You may ask, well, Itachi killed them himself, so it could be said that he took them to either bury them or himself, or simply stop their eyes from being taken, because now that he knows they needed power for peace. Itachi might actually tell Sasuke to take their father's Sharingan to gain eternal Mangekyo Sharingan. After all, if not done, Sasuke would also become blind. Sasuke said no to this, suggesting that Itachi and him become blind. They could also take both one eye each. But Itachi refused, saying that he doesn't have the right to take their father's Sharingan. After all, he killed him with his own hands. Sasuke not being able to fight this, logic would not. But Itachi does say that if it comes down to it, he could just take someone else's regular eyes if needed, since he wouldn't be blind in those eyes. In fact, he could even use Shisui's eye that he has in his scroll. We don't even know if their mother was from Uchiha blood, or if she even had a Sharingan or Mangekyo Sharingan for that matter. Sasuke collects the eyes of Fugaku and the eternal Mangekyo Sharingan awakens. Now that Danzo's days are dwindling, possible arrival of more of the Katsuki in Konoha, I think this is a good time to leave this part for now. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. If you want part 5, get this video to 25 likes within a month. And I'll see you all next video. See ya!